With us today is Dr. Richard Heist. He is Vice President of Academic Affairs and Provost at Lawrence Technological University. He is basically in charge of all the academic programs at the university. And he joined us last year. And I think he was most recently at Embry-Riddle. Is that right, Dr. Heist?
That's right, man.
Okay, so tell us, first of all, I guess I'd like to start this sort of biographically with a little bit about you and what your professional and academic background has been and how you wound up at Lawrence Tech.
Sure. Well, first of all, Matt, Mike, thanks for having me on today. It's great to join you guys and give us a chance to chat and catch up a little bit. As far as me, I've actually been in the academy all my life for more than 50 years and enjoying every minute of it. Matt mentioned Embry-Riddle. Yes, I was the provost at Embry-Riddle for 9 years. Prior to that, I was dean of engineering up at Manhattan College, up in the Bronx, up there on Manhattan. And then following Embry-Riddle, I was supposed to retire, but it just doesn't work for some of us. I think if it were
all of us actually, but go ahead. So
right, if it were a course, I would have failed it miserably. So I went back as an interim dean of engineering up at Fairfield University up in Fairfield, Connecticut. Had a wonderful 2 years up there, and then went back home. And then it turns out that Dr. Sobe, who was then the new president at Lawrence Tech, needed some help with the provost position. And so he called me up and asked me if I couldn't come and join him and help support the university for a while. And so I thought, well, gee, a couple of months, yeah, no problem. I'd be happy to do that. And so I got here and started things rolling, and there were a lot of neat opportunities to do and to start. And so about a month into my position, he said, how about sticking around forever? And I said, no, I can't do that. But he said, how about a couple years? And so I said, sure, I can give you a couple years. Things we're doing now and starting will come to fruition in a few years. So I'd like to be here. So that is why I am where I am. And I've been increasingly excited about what's going on this campus, this heavily technology-focused campus, and where the president's vision is taking this campus. And I bought into it right away. And so I want to help him and support him and see if we can't get that vision on a trajectory toward a successful completion. So that's where I am and why I am here.
So how would you describe Lawrence Tech to an outsider, both from the perspective of a prospective student and also from a prospective industry partner?
It's the kind of institution that really focuses on letting you do something. It's not the motto of the institution is theory and practice. And I'm going to emphasize the practice because there's a very strong experiential component to everything that happens here, whether you're in the humanities or whether you're in the engineering or the architecture or the natural or business. Everything is hands-on, a lot of experiential focus. I like that because it ties in what you're learning in the classroom with what you're actually doing. There's some 60 plus organizations and projects and things going on, self-driving cars, planes, all sorts of really neat things happening, which lets kids take what they've learned in class and then really understand it. They understand it by applying it. So for people, and this includes adults too, actually, for people who really like to do things, but yet they have a theoretical underpinning, this is a great place. And first of all, and second of all, it's not big. We have something like a 3,000 student body. We'll eventually move to around 5,000, but that's still a very nice size where faculty and staff can be intimately involved with each other and get something accomplished. And so I see that with our students. In many ways, Lawrence Tech reminds me of Embry-Riddle. They're both technologically focused institutions. They're both one of those dozen or so that the president likes to compare itself to. And so I knew about Lawrence Tech before I came here, but the fact is both of those institutions have the kind of students that go there to become something. They don't go there to figure out what they want to do. Most of them have a pretty good idea of where they want to go, and they're using Lawrence as a vehicle to help them get there. And it is actually a really great vehicle for that. Great faculty, great projects, and the kids are involved with everything, not just kids. I mean, these are young men and women. So it's an exciting place, and that's how I'd frame it. If I talk to parents out in the street or at a meeting or something, that's how I would frame it, because it's a great place to be, to do something and to be put into a position when you graduate that you know you're going to get a job, you know you're going to have a great salary, and you're going to have a really wonderful future. And you're not targeted to one area. I mean, you may graduate with a degree in, let's say, computer science, for example. It doesn't mean you're wedded to computer science the rest of your life. What it means is that you've had the kind of base preparation that will allow you to succeed in computer science. But if it turns out your career trajectory becomes orthogonal for some reason, and you're off in some other, you'll still succeed because you have that basis, you have that technology understanding and experience that will hold you in good stead no matter where you want to go. So it's a great place, Matt.
That's where I was going to, not to leap in, but I will anyway. But that point out when I went to the U of M, I kind of went there not knowing what I wanted to do. And then I came out with a political science degree and then decided I didn't want to be a lawyer. And with Lawrence Tech, these kids come out, and I know Matt's talked about this, that what multiple job offers is even before they graduate, right?
Oh, well, it is. And again, the president likes to point out, I keep referring to the president because I'm relatively new here. So I'm learning too. You know, I've been here since January, and I've just been like a sponge. Just if you can, in your mind's eye, think of trying to drink from a fire hose. I mean, that's my daily existence here, is trying to figure out what the heck's going on and become involved so I can help support the institution and support the president. But these are the kinds of things that impress me. When these kids leave here, they're in a good position to go, and that's to do with what they want to do and be comfortable with the offers they get. And the fact of the matter is, the issue that we have to confront is that because our kids go out and do so many internships and they go out involved in projects, that's this experiential component, they're offered jobs. And all of a sudden, these young men and women see these dollar symbols and they think, wow, this is real. But we said, no, you get your degree. So you have that, that's a credential. You want to carry that with you, then go get and you'll make even more money at that point in your chosen field. So we have to keep them so we can graduate them so they can be totally successful. That's part of our problem.
So there's also a strong entrepreneurial focus that I wanted to bring up too, both in the engineering school in terms of what we do with the Curran Family Foundation and the Centropolis Accelerator. Talk about that just a little bit, if you could.
That Centropolis Accelerator is really nifty. Let me tell you, it's a kind of thing to have on this campus which promotes innovation and entrepreneurship. And if you give these young men and women, and by the way, I'm going to include some of the older faculty in this too, if you give these people the opportunity to be creative and have the kinds of ideas which they have, but then let them do something with it and provide them the pathway, you're going to have the kind of ecosystem that you want to have at an institution like Lawrence Tech. You want to, I mean, it happened at Embry-Riddle. We had, in fact, developed the whole research park. The whole thing grew into this kind of innovation, entrepreneurial ecosystem in Daytona. Well, we can do the same darn thing here. We have this accelerator, which we did not have in Florida. We have it here. It's already a leg up. And the fact is that then we allow our students to do all these things, to involve themselves in these projects, to take their ideas and actually put some flesh on those bones, and then provide them the assistance and the mentoring to show them how to begin to commercial. How do you follow that? How do you follow that process and actually get something out there on the market? So it's really exciting. But let me, Matt, if I may here, let me depart a little bit from your script. There's something I'd like to share. You know, I mentioned earlier, the university has a motto, right? I call that theory and practice. And that's been around really since the Lawrence brothers, you know, over 90 years ago. That's, people know us for that. They like it and they respect it. Well, there are things called, I call them slogans. You guys call them taglines, right? Things that focus at the moment. They can change and develop and evolve. So we have a tagline now called be curious, make magic. it's kind of interesting in a way. I mean, a lot of time and effort went into that and thought with the folks over in the Yellow Flag in our marketing area, but I'm not sure everybody really understands it. You have to think a little more deeply. I just got an email. We got an email from I say a supporter who voiced some concern about that tagline. They said it was, more like an Alice in Wonderland for children focus, as opposed to the sorts of things you normally associate with the university here at Lawrence Tech. I said, well, now wait a minute. What we want to be careful about is that when we talk about something like be curious, make magic, I'm not just thinking about this Arthur Clarke thing, where it says that all advanced technology to a backward society will look like magic. It's not just that. It's the idea of thinking about things that don't exist, right? Being creative, and then figuring out how to do the kinds of things that you've been thinking about. It's the be curious, make magic, but it's in a little different context. Here at the university, one of the things that we're trying to do is be more horizontal, less vertical. Now, what does that mean? It means basically the total is only greater than the sum of the parts when the parts interact. Horizontal. Because in the academy, the tendency is to silo. It just is. I've been there all my life. It is, not only in the colleges and the academic, but also in the support, the vice president's area too. So what we want to do, what I'd really like to have happen, and we're pushing hard for this, is to promote more horizontal flow, communication, involvement, collaboration. That leads to all the things that you were just talking about, all the things that I just mentioned. So we're really pushing hard to do. Now, one way to help that happen, there are many that we're doing, but one is the creation of these things that we call centers, right? Centers. There's one particular center, and I'm going to use two examples here. The first example is our Construction Safety Research Center. Very nice idea. And the reason I like it is because in construction industry in the United States, there are more deaths. The rate of fatalities is probably the largest in these different kinds of sectors. It's a dangerous profession. So safety is a big deal. So this Construction Safety Research Center is finding ways to improve the safety for the construction industry. Great idea. But then you think about this for a little bit and you say, well, wait a minute, what about manufacturing? Now, you can't tell me that there isn't danger in manufacturing with the big machines and tools. So why not expand? And then what about transportation? Look what happened in Philadelphia just recently, right?
Yeah.
So you start thinking, well, maybe we better expand this center to include so that's sort of the make magic portion of it. But here's the real kicker. So you start thinking about that, and we come to this thought. What about the healthcare industry? Now, here in Michigan, and especially Southeast Michigan, I'm impressed with the level of healthcare industry that we have. It's amazing what we have here. But I'm finding out, because we're starting to do a little bit of work in the healthcare state, it's one of the most dangerous professions. Nurses are getting assaulted every 2 hours. Nurse gets assaulted. People, they have armed security because of the emergency room in the hospitals. All the CEOs, everybody we talked with recently, complain about the same thing. So you think about the idea of a healthcare safety workshop, healthcare safety workers research center, a whole new concept that fits this same model. Here it is again. Be curious, now make magic and make it happen. So it's not the sort of thing one thinks about with be curious, make magic, but it really is there as part of it. And I'd like people to understand that.
All right. Well, we have a couple of new programs coming up this fall. In the last minute, why don't you talk about those for just a sec? I know we have a new college being formed here.
Well, one of the really neat things about this institution is that they, after 50 years, they decided that they were going to create a new College of Health Sciences. I thought it was the smartest move in the world, because look at the environment we live in here in Michigan. And so we have a College of Health Sciences now with a School of Nursing, which is up and running. We have a Master's of Physician's Assistant Studies, which is up and running. We have a Master's of Cardiovascular Perfusion, which is really neat stuff. It's how they keep your heart running during heart surgery, for example. And we have a Healthcare Administration program with the College of Business. There's that horizontal action again. And they're already here and up and running. And our next two that we're looking at is a master's of occupational therapy and a doctor of physical therapy. So, and there's more to come after that. So we have a really exciting time. And in the process, I want to force this college to interact with engineering, to interact with business, to interact with arts and science, computer science. So we get that horizontal component, which raises the level. It's that rising tide will lift all boats. And it will do that here as well. It's going to be, and also the emphasis on artificial intelligence, Matt, it's blowing up and we're embracing it wholeheartedly here at the university. It's going to be a really interesting and fun fall semester.
Okay, Richard Heist, your passion is obvious and
Can
contagious.
You hear
it? Just a little. All right. Thanks very much, Richard Heist, Provost at Lawrence Technological University. That's ltu.edu. Go check it out.